Well, welcome. It's Monday morning. Welcome to Scorched Earth. I'm your host, JT. I'm going to be John when I'm talking about politics. I think I'm going to try and be JT. Sounds hip. It sounds avant-garde when I'm talking about sports. It also sounds like all the rest of the athletes who really can't even pronounce their own names, so they have to go by initials. It's probably what it is with me, but let's move on. First of all, hit that subscribe button. Producer Stacy, she tells me, make sure they hit that subscribe button and leave some comments. Unless you're going to troll, and then I don't care. You can go F yourself, okay? I don't really care if you're going to hate me for being a Boston fan in L.A. Talk about an expatriate, huh? That's a nice term there. Well, today we had part two, the Sunday version of the division playoffs. We had the Rams rolling into Philadelphia. And I want to say I am not a Rams fan. But man, damn it, Sean McVay is literally the best coach in the NFL. That guy is like pulling the Expendables together and they're making a run. You know, that game, it was out of reach. It was 13. It was out of reach. 3 minutes left. And, man, they put a scare into Philly. And Philly was the better team. I took them a -6. I got to push on the number here. But I thought Philadelphia was just going to wipe the face of the earth with them. I mean, L.A. was coming off a short week. Philly was at home. It was snowing. I mean, everything was in their favor. And the variable was this. The Rams had the better coach, and they had the better quarterback. That Jalen Hurts, if you're a Philadelphia fan, you can go die on that line because that is not going to be a good situation. Saquon Barkley was a huge difference. I just don't even understand how Joe Shane up there in New York kept his job after letting him go after Hard Knocks. This guy is just a winner on a winner. Kind of like Henry over there in Baltimore. These guys are game changers. They are difference makers. And there is so few of them out there. And Jalen Hurts, I mean, this guy is just trying to get out of his own way. I don't know, man. The guy reminds me, he has the best offensive line in football. I mean, literally, I think they could win every game 50-0 if they just did the tush push because nobody is stopping them. Put Saquon in quarterback. Just have him direct snap it. Let's go. I don't think anybody would ever stop him. This guy reminds me in so many different ways, I know, here we go, of like the good, non-retarded Tim Tebow. You know, he looks good for a little bit, and then literally when push comes to shove, man, good luck. He better hit, I don't know. I don't even know where we go. And I wonder, are we going to see the ugly side of this? Remember when Brown brought up a couple weeks ago about, I'm not really on the same page with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is kind of an aloof guy. Winning is winning. Don't get me wrong. And they're going to be the favorite this weekend. We're going to get into that in subsequent, podcasts. But there's just something wrong in Philadelphia. I don't like the coach. I don't like the quarterback. I like the rest of the team. I think they're amazing. I think they win in spite of themselves. I wonder if they had Vic Fangio as the head coach, what we'd be seeing with this team. I think we'd be seeing something that could actually beat Kansas City. I really, really think that. Vic Fangio, I think, is the real winner on that staff. And then we go to the nightcap. Oh, no, I got one more thing to say. That Jalen Carter, that cat is unbelievable. I don't know if you ever saw that classic movie, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, where they got the stud football player and Sean Penn and his brother destroy the car in a night of just getting high and crazy and drunk, and they destroy the guy's car, and then they put it in the quad and they go kill Ridgemont. And he acts like it's the other team did it. And next thing you know, Forrest Whitaker, he's like a man possessed. He's tackling 4 guys at one time. He's jumping over the quarterback. He's doing everything. I mean, the guy's like Lawrence Taylor on steroids. Even though Lawrence Taylor was on steroids, he never played like he did there. That Jalen Carter, took over that game in the second half. That guy was a stud on a stud. I have not seen anybody take over a game like that since Reggie White. That guy was just a man on a man. I looked at that and I go, they only need one guy to rush and only one guy to be there for against the run, because I would have dropped the other 10 guys back because 5 Rams were not blocking Jalen Carter. And you know what? So he's not a great driver. I don't want him for my Uber. I mean, hey, I don't want you. I'm going to call him killer, but I'm not talking about the way he drives in Georgia, okay? Hey, I got liability insurance, okay? So don't hate. I don't know. That Jalen Carter, that guy is a man. Then the nightcap, we had Buffalo and Baltimore. It's a shame one of these teams had to lose. You know, it's like the two idiots kind of fighting in the corner at school. And you're just sitting there amused. You know, between McDermott and the Bills, that somehow you were just waiting who was going to F up the most. And one of my favorite players on the Ravens is Mark Andrews, and he had just a terrible game. I mean, a terrible game. Couple drops. Obviously, the 2-point conversion to tie it, which would have been really nice, but I don't think that was going to send it into overtime. I really would have put my money on Josh Allen with a minute 30 and a couple timeouts in his back pocket to get a field goal, but they play what they play, you know, and I didn't understand why they didn't go for the kneel downs. I get that if we do 3 kneel downs, there's going to be 10 seconds left. Come on. I mean, really? Is this what we're worried about? You're going to hand off the ball and take a chance on a fumble? You know, look up the Herm Edwards play. Miracles in the Meadowland. Well, now Buffalo's going to roll into Kansas City. You know, at this point, it's kind of like when you used to watch the old Harlem Globetrotters play the Washington Generals. You can watch the game for amusement, but we all know how it's going to end out. I can tell you right now, let's get some predictions out here. Kansas City will be leading at halftime. They'll be leading in the third quarter. They'll be leading at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and Patrick Mahomes will win by 3. Oh, what a shock. A couple more observations from the weekend. Detroit, I don't know what to say. Dan Campbell is a fantastic coach. I think their window is over. Now everybody's going to just say, what are you talking about? They just had a classic year. They did. They're going to lose Ben Johnson. They're not going to lose Aaron Glenn. Nobody's hiring that guy, okay? No, sorry. There's plenty of other defensive coaches they'd hire before they go to that guy, okay? Let's stop the old woke, happy, politically correct line. They're not hiring that guy, okay? He's going to be back in Detroit. But the Ben Johnson thing, he's going to the Raiders. It's not looking good. It's going to be a real tough thing to overcome. But I really think that culture that we saw in Game 16 when they went to San Francisco and really had nothing to play for, and they played all the starters, that grinded out mentality, we're not going to be defeated. I think there is a correlation between all the injuries they had. You could sit here and say, well, those injuries, JT, sorry, sports guy, happened in games, and that's true. But, it's kind of like if you get beat up all the time. I used to box. You could see it from the extensive facial damage. If you go through hard sparring, there is a point where it starts turning the other way, where it starts like, oh, this is going to be a problem when I get hit for real. I'm going to be more susceptible. My joints are weaker, everything. And I think that's what we're looking at in Detroit. We're not going to get rid of Dan Campbell. They finally got a winner. And it breaks my heart because I really wish Detroit could have went to a Super Bowl. Here we go. There you are. And it's just the Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels, kids on a heater, all-time heater. And you know what? We saw that with Patrick Mahomes. Do I think he is going to be that great? No. But, if you're out there looking and you're a real fan, which if you're listening to this, you're either insane or a real fan or a little of both. You know, how many quarterbacks out there, I get so tired of on the sports landscape, they say, well, he's just a game manager. Well, that's a big part of it. Yeah, you're right. And let's talk about Brock Purdy. That guy got to a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, who I don't like, he got to a Super Bowl. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they haven't been there. Okay? At the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. Joe Burrow got to a Super Bowl. Do you know who the only quarterback besides Patrick Mahomes in the NFL who has a Super Bowl ring? It's Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco. Hello? Let's get back to 2014. That's it. A starting quarterback. It is so hard to get a quarterback to the Super Bowl. In the AFC, it's almost impossible. It really is. How are you getting through Mahomes? Good luck. In the NFC, obviously, it's a little easier. And, a lot of people are angry at Jared Goff. I understand the frustration, but that guy is a top 8 quarterback. Everybody seems to think, oh, we're going to get rid of the quarterback. We're going to get rid of Dak Prescott. We're going to get rid of Jared Goff. Well, who are you bringing in? That's a 3-year process. Let me tell you something. I'm a Dolphins fan. We're out there like Moses in the desert. We're wandering around trying to find a quarterback because we've got, quote unquote, a quarterback, but we don't. Because literally, he is a paperclip away from being on the IR list from a concussion. Okay? Literally. The wind blows. They cut the grass the wrong way. He's going to be down. And look, I dig Tua. He's really cool. But he isn't taking us to the promised land. No. Okay. I wish we would have Herbert, but, hey, that's how it goes. And now, what do? We are in that situation where we got him signed for 4 more years. How do we get another quarterback? What do we do? We're going to get Brock Purdy? There is the biggest steal since the Patriots got Tom Brady. Brock Purdy, 7th round. You got a guy who got you to a Super Bowl. Okay. And you know what? I watched that old Super Bowl against the Chiefs the other day. That guy made a lot of good throws. Yeah, he made some bad throws. I'm not arguing. But if you objectively look at Patrick Mahomes, that guy is throwing 5 or 6 bad passes every game. Now, he gets away with it. Most of the time, and I don't understand what this is, he throws a pass into the chest of a defensive back, and they drop it. I'm telling you, it's insane. But when there's 3 minutes left, and you're down by 3 points, there's nobody who's more clutch. The guy just knows how to win. The proof's in the pudding. The guy is Tom Brady. And he's probably going to pass Tom, but so be it. So I went 1-1 on my picks today. I lost Baltimore. I wanted to lay the 1.5. I took Philly minus the 6. So for the weekend, I went 2-1-1. And now we're going to head off to the preview of the national championship game between Notre Dame and OSU. And, Marcus Freeman right now, he's riding the wave. I ain't buying it. Sorry, not buying it. I've seen this stuff in Notre Dame. When you win a couple games, all of a sudden they think you're the next Newt Rockne or Frank Leahy or Ara Farsesian. I remember everything I'm hearing about Marcus Freeman, about Charlie Weiss. I'm telling you, I went to a game back there. Everybody loved him. They beat Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl. They were coming. They were great. I heard the same thing, about all these cats. And then next thing you know, 2 years later, well, we never really did like him, blah, blah, blah. They are a huge, huge megaphone on the national stage. And if you can win there, you're pretty good. But you know what? Think about this. They lose tonight. Where are they at, really? Okay, they came in second. Hey, this just in, TCU came in second a couple years ago. Yeah, that and $50 get you a coffee at Starbucks. I think they've been very lucky. They played Georgia without Carson Beck. This is another thing that I don't really think got any attention. That's why you got to listen to this place. Is Kirby Smart's dad, they delayed the game one day. His dad fell at the Superdome and died the next day. How did that not weigh on him in the game? I mean, he's a human. He's a great coach. They got a great team, but man, that's a pretty heavy thing to lose your dad to be in the hospital. They knew it was serious, you know? But we're going to look at Notre Dame. They're a solid team, good defense, really good offensive line. Not a big fan of their wide receivers or quarterback, but you know what? They keep winning. You know, they just find a way to win. Faison is just a weapon in the passing game. He's had 13 catches during this playoff run. He is their one outside threat. But an interesting statistic is since Jordan Love had that 98-yard run against Indiana, they've only averaged 3.2 yards a rush since then. Now, let's be honest. They played Georgia, tough front four. They played Penn State with that out-of-this-world Carter. They played some tough defenses. But, man, that just seems way low, especially for that offensive line. I don't know. I just don't know. And I wonder what happens if they get behind. I will say this, that they are going to be formidable. I think everybody is sitting here talking about Ohio State. We're going to get to them in a second, but they're talking about how they're just going to light it up. Well, I was looking at it. I really think that Notre Dame has as good, if not better, secondary than Texas did, and Texas held them in bay. I mean, if you really look at that game, Texas was going down to tie it at the end. It was just a scoop and score that made it 14 points. I mean, yeah, I know the numbers are the numbers, but, you know, if you were there with laying 6.5 or 7, you were scared out of your mind. You thought you were going to overtime and you were done. You were toast. Things happen. But Notre Dame is formidable here. The line started at 9.5. It's now 8. OSU, you know, from 5 weeks ago when everybody and their brother wanted to fire Ryan Day. And I'm not going to go along with the national media about how unjust that was. You lost 4 years in a row to Michigan. You hadn't won a national title. You lost to Georgia twice when you should have beat them. You had better players. There's something there. But they righted the ship. They righted the ship, and they are on a playoff run. They beat a good Tennessee team. They beat a really good Tennessee team. You know, this team is playing really well. What they did to Oregon, I couldn't even imagine. I thought Oregon was going to be tough. But remember this, that all the teams that had a home game in the first round won the second round. And I think a lot of that had to do with rust. These teams that got a bye in the first round all lost in the second round. And I really do think that that's where college football has to go to a 16-game team playoff so that everybody plays. So these kids, they're not pros. They don't deal with a week off very well. We'll see what happens. And also they're going to make more money. Howard, 5 weeks ago, they wanted to put him in the incinerator, light him on fire. Now he's the best quarterback in college football. He is on fire. There's an interesting statistic, and I really don't know what it means, but for your handicapping, I think you ought to think about, is OSU's opponents have committed the fewest penalties, 3.7 a game, and there hasn't been a defensive holding call against the opponent of Ohio State since the Michigan game. And, you sit there and you say, well, it's like Mark Twain said, there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. I don't know what the statistic means, but it seems like there's something there. And what I'm alluding to is, how do they not get a defensive holding with those two stud receivers? I mean, are they just trying to blow by everybody? Are they running real tough routes? To me, you get defensive holding when you're running really super tight routes. You're going 10 yards, super hard cut. The guy's blown, boom. Now what everybody's doing against Ohio State is they're just, putting too deep. Oregon, I don't know what they were doing. It's like the Pee Wee team down the street. So now we finally got Notre Dame. We'll see if they win their first title since '88. I really think we're going to have a very close game here. I'm taking the 8 points. I think Ohio State's the better team, but I will say this. If Notre Dame can be 10-7 at halftime, I think they're going to win. But with that said, my pick is Ohio State to win the game. I'm not laying no 350 on the juice. I can tell you that right now. But I would definitely take the points. All right. Best of luck. Win a lot.